You're listening to Away with Words, the show about language and how we use it. I'm Grant Barrett.
And I'm Martha Barnett. We received a lovely message from Carol Shepard, who wanted to share her mother's favorite word with us. It's a word, she says, that her mother always pronounced with sheer delight. And the word is humuhumunukunukuapuaʻa. Don't ask me to spell it.
Oh, that's a Hawaiian word, I think. Yes,
Yes, it is.
And that is a fish, but usually they call it something shorter.
Yes, they usually call it a triggerfish, but it turns out that the humuhumunukunukuapuaʻa is the official state fish of Hawaii. And what's really cool about her bringing this word to us is it's just one of those things where you want to pull on a thread and follow where your curiosity takes you. I was really fascinated to learn that this name translates as little triggerfish with a small snout like a pig.
Oh, I would just imagine a little piggy swimming.
I know.
On the beautiful Hawaiian beaches.
Yes. and I looked them up. They do sort of look like little pigs. Pua'a is the word for pig. But then I got curious about why it's called a triggerfish. And do you have any idea why it's called a triggerfish?
No, but is it one of those that shoots like high-speed jets of water or something?
That was my guess, but no, it's more interesting than that, actually, because the triggerfish has a large spine on its back that it can snap upright and lock into place using a second, shorter spine that's directly behind it. So it's exactly like a trigger. And the reason they have this is that when the first spine snaps up and is locked into place, then the fish can wedge itself into a little crevice because of that little spine, and a predator can't get to it.
Oh, so it's like a trigger on a gun. Gotcha.
Yes. I thought that was the coolest thing. And this is what I love about what we do, Grant. You just pull on a little thread and you see where you go.
We love to talk about language, and we love to talk to you. Whether in Hawaii or Newfoundland, Alaska or Florida, or anywhere in between in the United States or Canada, call or text toll-free 877-929-9673.
Hello, you have a way with words.
Hi there.
Hi, who's this?
This is David calling from Matthews, North Carolina.
Hey, David. Glad to have you. What's up?
So I've grown up with a tradition or an item that people have called one name, and then I've moved and nobody knows what I'm talking about. Typically, it's called a grilled cheese, which is just, two pieces of bread buttered with a slice of cheese in the middle, and then you put it in a frying pan. So it's not technically grilled, but we grew up in my hometown. Everybody calls them cheese toasties. Mm-hmm. And so I've been trying to figure out, because I've mentioned it in various places. I currently, like I said, live in North Carolina. My wife's from Florida. And every time I say cheese toasties, she gives me the crooked eye and that's not a thing. And so, yeah.
Well, something tells me you moved east.
Well, I was from Illinois. So,
Uh-huh.
so yeah, a little bit east and further south.
So were you near Decatur, Illinois?
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Ding, ding, ding,
so
ding.
cheese toastie, Toastie, is definitely a regional term in the United States for a grilled cheese sandwich. And you're right, we don't grill it. We cook it in a pan. Doesn't matter. It's still called grilled cheese by most Americans. And there's a part of this country, it's not just Decatur, although people in Decatur think it's only theirs. It's actually a little more widespread than that. You'll find cheese toastie used instead of grilled cheese in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, especially places like Decatur and Springfield, Illinois. So it's spread just across those three states. And what complicates it is that there's a cheese toastie in British English for a toasted sandwich, but it's not made the same way. It is bread, it is cheese, but you're more likely to make it in an oven, maybe a toaster oven, or in a press grill like a panini grill or a George Foreman grill.
Okay.
And so there's a separate cheese toastie. They were coined independently. The British one didn't give its name to the American one, nor vice versa. It's just a really, really common way to form new words to add an IE. That's it, man. It's that simple.
That's crazy. So yeah, it's funny because I've been listening to you guys for quite a while, and there's been a a part of my soul that's been waiting for somebody else to call in and go, what's
My
the story with
friends.
cheese toasties?
Search the website. You will find it. We have talked about this before, but why wait in agony
Years
when the
ago.
information's right there?
Yeah.
Just to put a little more information on this, the earliest use that we know of cheese toastie in the U.S. to mean a grilled cheese sandwich was 1909, and the recipe was a little different. It says you can use cream cheese instead of sliced cheese.
Whoa.
And yeah, that recipe was widely reprinted. The whole conceit was that it's an easy, convenient snack. And definitely convenient enough. That's why the British have their own version of it.
Well, David, you're not alone.
All right. Thanks, man. Take care.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys taking it. I appreciate that information. It's great.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Call or text anytime, 877-929-9673. Hi, you have a way with words.
Hey, Martha, this is Jonathan Owen from Winter Haven, Florida.
Hey, Jonathan, we're glad to have you on board. What's up?
Hey, I had a question for you about the pronunciation of a word. So yeah, when I don't have a way with words, I listen to other things. And one of the things I listen to is a pop culture podcast from NPR. And one of the reporters one time used the word integral in her report. She was talking about something being integral to the plot of a movie. And at the time, I thought maybe she had misspoken because I've always pronounced that word integral. And so I just kind of carried on, didn't think much about it. But she did it again and again. And so I wondered, well, maybe is it a generational thing? Because I know she's in her late 30s and I'm in my late 50s. So I called my older daughter, who is in her late 20s, and said, "How do you pronounce this word?" And she said she pronounces it integral, like I do. And she works at the University of Florida, and her employees are all college students. And so I said, "Well, why don't you ask your college students how they pronounce it?" And so she did, and got back with me later on. And to a person, every one of her employees says integral when they use that word.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me wonder what's going on. Is it something that changed and I never heard about it, or is it just people are mispronouncing it, or what's the deal? So that's the reason I called you guys, to see if you could maybe clarify it for me.
Yeah, I love the field work here. I really totally appreciate exactly what you've done here, because it's exactly what Martha and I would do if we encountered something new. So the word we're talking about, integral, and generally in the use that you heard on the radio, it sounds like it meant essential or necessary. So something is integral to the outcome, or integral to the core product.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
And there we kind of get to the nut of this, that we're kind of talking about one word with two meanings, and one of those meanings is special to a particular field, and that's mathematics. These days, you mainly hear integral with the stress on the first syllable among mathematicians and specialists in scientific fields that use a lot of math. So I don't know if you and your daughter work in those fields, but perhaps that's why you have that pronunciation.
Actually, we don't. I was an English major. I work for an insurance company now, but I was actually an English major in college, and she was an advertising major. So we're kind of pretty far off field from the maths and sciences.
The second thing that you did, which I think is wonderful, because you brought in the answer to your own question, basically. It's not an age thing, it's a change thing. And generally, in all of the English dialects, words that have previously been stressed on the first syllable are becoming stressed on the second syllable.
Okay.
So it's not just integral becoming integral. It's also words like applicable becoming applicable, formidable becoming formidable. And the famous one, which actually has a UK-US divide, although usually there is no US-UK divide. It's just a change thing, is controversy versus controversy.
Oh, yeah.
But even words like exquisite, harass, despicable, hospitable, they're all moving that pronunciation, that stress on the pronunciation to the second syllable. And there's a reason for this, is because English wants a rhythm. We understand as native English speakers that there is a particular kinds of pacing and rhythm. And there's actually something called the principle of rhythmic alternation, which was described in 1977 by a couple of brilliant linguists. And this metrical phonology, as they call it, shows how English speakers will naturally adjust word stress, the syllable stress, to keep an alternating trochaic rhythm, which is basically a strong syllable followed by a weak one. So so long words are far more susceptible to this change.
Because there's so many syllables in it, of course. Yeah,
and so
that makes sense.
Another thing that's happening is we're moving away from this Germanic pronunciation system, and we're more developing English's own pronunciation system, where those Germanic ties that would have preferred the stress on the first syllable are fading, partly because we have moved more towards Latin rules from Latin and French over the many centuries that English has become what it is.
I see. Okay, very good. Well, that's interesting. Very interesting. I'd only ever heard it pronounced one way, and it kind of took me up abruptly when I listened to that podcast.
But both correct. Yeah. Just to clarify here, both correct. But the mathematicians and math-using scientists are more likely to say integral with the stress on the first syllable. My favorite change that I love to talk about when Martha and I go and do live events in the rows is the word balcony. Like this. Place on a stage that you can look down upon the seats. Used to be pronounced balcony.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, which people are like, what? How? Why did it? That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, but it has completely undergone the change, whereas other words are still in transition.
That's wild. I'll keep my ears out. I'm sure there'll be others out there I'll bump into now that I'm kind of cognizant of it.
Yeah, that's how it works, right?
Call us about that, Jonathan.
I will. I'll definitely do it. I've got a bunch of other things I want to call you about too, so I'll just have to put it on the list. So,
yes, please. All right, take care. Give our best to your daughter.
In between your podcasts.
I will do that. I appreciate you guys calling. This has been great.
We're the one with the bright yellow icon.
Okay. I got it on the top of my list.
All right. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
877-929-9673. We heard from Diane Dalton, who told us that where she lives in Wisconsin, when they teach little kids the sound a bullfrog makes, they say, jugarum, jugarum, jugarum.
So these are the big boys, right? The ones with the bulging throats, like they're hefty in your hand if you pick them up.
Right. And jugarum is what biologists refer to as an advertisement call. That is, the male of the species sort of making himself known to all the ladies out there.
Oh, right. So if I were a female bullfrog, I would find that very attractive.
If you were, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me that jugarum also appears in a poem by the writer and editor Willard Espy. He once wrote this sort of naughty little ditty called The Serenading Frog, and it ends with, "The bloated bullfrog calls his mate by booming on his drum, but gladly settles if she's late for jugarum, oh rum."
Jugarum, that's our advertisement for you to call with your language questions, stories, and ideas. Call or text toll-free in the United States and Canada, 877-929-9673, or email words@waywardradio.org. The word quiz and lots more as A Way with Words continues. Stay tuned.
You're listening to A Way with Words, the show about language and how we use it. I'm Martha Barnett.
And I'm Grant Barrett. And here he is, dressed in his Texas tuxedo that's denim top to bottom. It's our quiz guy, John Chaneski.
It's comfortable. What can I say? Denim
you
is
look
just,
great.
It
really fits
good.
you. I've never seen a blue jean 10-gallon hat, but it's all right.
I don't have to think about what to wear. Just denim. That's it. All right, I'll give you guys this week, our quiz is something we've done before. I'll give you three things, and you tell me what they have in common. We call it common bonds. There's a lot of names for these, but when they were in a board game format, it was called Tri-Bond. People still call it that. If you're a diehard puzzle solver, you probably know it from, the UK game show Only Connect, where it's called the Connecting Wall. If I said something like handed, bank, or click, you would say left. Left-handed,
okay.
Left bank, left click, something like that. Okay?
Gotcha.
All right, good, because these are all word-based. Here's the first one. Cannon, leaf, change.
Cannon, C-A-N-N-O-N?
Correct.
Cannon,
How
leaf,
about
change.
loose?
Loose is correct. Loose cannon, loose leaf, loose change. Very good. Gasp, supper, ditch.
Last.
Last is
L-A-S-T.
is right. Last is next. It's last. Last gasp, last supper, last ditch. Will, room, wage.
Living.
Living, yeah.
Living is correct. You might notice a pattern in these, by the way. You'll see quickly as we move on. The next one, I'll say that again, by the way. Living will, living room, living wage. Gas, stock, cow.
I was going to say live cow, but that doesn't help.
So are they, so gas, stock,
Cow.
cow.
Wow.
The last one's less a phrase, more of a brand name.
Oh, laughing.
Yes, laughing is correct.
Oh,
Laughing gas, laughing stock, laughing cow.
I have contributed to the Wikipedia entry for that one.
Have you
What?
really?
Yes.
Very
That
nice.
sounds like a story.
Yeah, I want to hear that sometime. How about mine, line, mass?
Mine, M-I-N-E.
M-I-N-E, line, L-I-N-E, mass, spelled the usual way.
It could be land.
It could be land because it is land. Very good.
Oh, there we go.
Landmine, landline, landmass. For you kids out there, a landline was a phone that. Anyway,
And condescension is
that's what it is, right? How about this one? Opener, perfect, box.
opener, perfect, box, B-O-X.
Yes.
I was going with can,
B-O-X.
but that doesn't work.
That's
Opener.
not gift. Mail, no. Letter.
Letter is correct. I
Letter
love the-
opener, letter.
Yes.
What are the other ones?
I love the sound of
Perfect.
realization. Very good. Letter opener, letter perfect, letterbox. Finally, pitchers, women, dipper.
P-I-T-C-H-E-R-S, pictures.
Yes, your spelling is on point today, Grant. Very good.
Ah,
yes.
very smart.
Sounds like it could be teeny weeny.
And it is. What is the teeny weeny
Little-
answer?
Little women, little dipper, and little leaves.
Pitchers.
What was it?
Little pitchers.
Little
Little
pitchers
pitchers
have big
as-
ears.
That's right. For slang for kids, little pitchers have big ears. There we go. You guys did fantastic on that Common Bonds quiz. Well done.
Thank you, John. We'll see you next week. Take care of yourself.
Alrighty.
See you then. You too.
Bye-bye.
You can leave us a voicemail anytime, toll free in the U.S. and Canada, 877-929-9673, or send us an email, words@waywardradio.org.
Hello, you have a way with words.
Hey, Grant. This is Andy Rasick calling from Kensington, Maryland.
Oh, hi, Andy. Welcome to the program. What's up?
For maybe reasons that don't bear going into right now, the other day I looked up the word sycophant, and I had a hunch that maybe it had a Greek origin, and I was correct on that. But where I got confused and wanted to reach out to you all is I believe the original meaning, was either showing someone the sign of the fig, which apparently was a rude hand gesture, or maybe telling on someone who was importing figs but not paying a fig tax. And I cannot for the life of me figure out how something like that turned into the modern usage, which, I think you might be able to encapsulate that as suck up or want to flatter
brown
you for a
nose,
favor.
sure.
Yeah.
Let's spell some words here since we're on radio and sometimes it's hard to hear. So sycophant, S-Y-C-O-P-H-A-N-T. And then you mentioned figs as in the fruit, F-I-G.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, much to say about the word sycophant, because in ancient Greece, the sycophants were people who prosecuted other people without justification. Either they were trying to convict somebody who was innocent of something or blackmail somebody into paying them to drop the case. So the Greeks had this word sykophantes, which referred to this kind of sleazebag. And then by the 16th century, mid-16th century in English, its derivative sycophant had found its way into our language, meaning a malicious accuser or slanderer from this ancient Greek meaning. But it soon developed this other negative meaning, and I think the Oxford English Dictionary defines it best: a mean, servile, cringing, or abject flatterer, a parasite, toady, lickspittle.
That must be one of the entries that has not been revised since the 1800s.
But let's get back to that Greek word sykophantes. It breaks down into two words, and as you suggested, the sykon there means fig, as in the fruit, and the phantes means one who shows. It has to do with showing. So the Greek sykophantes literally meant someone who shows the fig. And that's where it gets kind of murky, because there have been lots of stories proposed, as you suggested, involving the literal fruit of the fig tree, that the sycophants in ancient Greek were people who snitched about the illegal exportation of figs or something having to do with taxes. But more likely, the Greek word sukon, meaning fig, could also mean female genitalia. And for centuries, there's been this obscene gesture that translates in a lot of different languages as the fig, and that's sticking your thumb between your next two fingers and then waving it at somebody. And for centuries and across cultures, showing the fig like that, making that little gesture, is, kind of the equivalent of flipping somebody off. In fact, there's a great passage in Dante's Inferno where this thief who's really angry at being in hell lifts both his hands, making the figs with both his thumbs, and he yells at God, and then he's promptly strangled by snakes.
Yeah.
So it's plausible that in ancient Greece, showing the fig somehow became linked with these bad actors.
Andy, just to put a cap on exactly how unknown this is, even Plutarch, who was born in the year 50, had some questions about the origin of this word or this idea of showing figs and what it could possibly relate to. So it has been unknown for a very long time.
But it's a bad thing.
And I want to leave you, Andy, with one more word. So any kind of offensive gesture like showing the fig or the middle finger is apotropaic, apotropaic. And so that's what we call any kind of physical euphemism or gesture that's meant to be obscene.
Yeah, it comes from Greek for turning away, apotropaic. Yeah. So how about that?
Well, I didn't know what to expect, but I know that I didn't expect that. That is an interesting lesson.
Thanks so much, Andy. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. Thanks so much, Martha. Take care, y'all.
All right,
Okay,
bye-bye.
take care, Andy.
Yep, bye.
I forgot to mention that that second part, the PHANT in sycophant, has a really interesting history. It goes back to the Greek word that means show. And that, if you know that, it unlocks a whole lot of different words in English, like diaphanous, which means showing through, and epiphany, which means, sort of manifesting upon, and also the word Tiffany, which goes back to words that mean God shining through.
Tiffany, the name, or Tiffany, the glassmaker?
No, well, it's interesting that, a Tiffany lamp has a light shining through, but no, it goes back to an earlier word that means God shining through.
Whether you listen by podcast or over the air, there are a lot of ways to reach us, and you can find them all on our website at waywardradio.org.
Hello, you have a way with words.
Hi, this is Aman. I'm calling from Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
Hi, Aman. We're glad to have you. What's up?
So my question is kind of random. I was born in India and I grew up there, and I kind of grew up in a region where literacy wasn't super high. And, when people said words, like English words, they would always add the is sound in front of them. They would say is scooter or is school. And then when I moved to the U.S., took Spanish, and, as I grew up and became fluent in English as well, I started exploring languages more, and I realized that in Spanish, there's also that is sound that's added to the front of words. And it just kind of got me thinking that, if that's maybe something that is a natural way of human language where just to make things easier. I know I've realized that language kind of moved towards the easiest way to say words. But I never found anything online. I did some research, but I couldn't find anything. And I was just wondering if I wanted to get your thoughts, if that's something you've encountered, or is that a real thing? Or am I just connecting random things,
Yeah, Aman, this is a great question for us. This is really good. One thing I want to say, though, is that language doesn't only go towards simpler forms. Sometimes it goes towards more complex forms. So these two conflicting things that can happen in language. Any language will do this. this adding of the sound before an S word in Spanish and some of the Indian languages is well known and well studied by linguists. It's part of the sound sequencing rules of language that make it happen. It's called phonotactics. Phonotactics, phonotactics. And specifically what's happening here is a kind of epenthesis. An epenthesis is the insertion of a sound that isn't usually there. And when you add it to the beginning of the word, it's called prothesis. So at the front of it. And the Spanish examples that you gave were spot on. Like they will say estop when they're speaking English or especial when they're speaking English. And partly it's you might say, oh, well, that's because, that's how it's spelled in those languages. They say especial. But it's because they don't have that phonetic structure that we have. They just don't use those sounds at the beginning of words in Spanish. And the same for the Indian languages that you encountered. There are just some things in languages that just don't happen at the beginning of words. So when you encounter that happening in a second or third or fifth language or however many you speak, you naturally try to make that new language fit the rules of the old one. Because you, in your brain, without even thinking about, know that it cannot begin with that SC sound. It just can't be done, or the ST sound, or the SP sound, or whatever it is. And so you added a vowel sound there at the beginning. Maybe a schwa, maybe a different kind of E, but you add a vowel sound there at the beginning, because that's what your original, your base language says to do.
Wow, how fascinating. Yeah, the language of the state that I'm from, or I guess it's not even recognized. It's more so called a dialect. But people speak, and I grew up listening to that. But that's so fascinating to hear that's like just to conform it to how you're used to speaking language, you automatically add it.
So, the thing to look up is phonotactics, phonotactis, and then epenthesis, EPENTHESIS. And if you Google those two things, and don't trust the AI summaries, although it might get you started, you're going to come up with a ton of great stuff on this.
Okay, phonotactics and epenthesis. I'm definitely going to look this up. Yeah, it's just fascinating to connect. Like sometimes the world seems so far apart.
Mm-hmm.
The language, I feel like there's so many connections that, it's just like one way to join like the two worlds that I'm from. So it's great that I'm really happy that you were able to share this with me. I'm definitely going to look this up.
Amin, that's very well said. You do have a way with words.
Oh, thank you.
Amin, take care and good luck on your language learning journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Take care now.
Bye,
Take care.
Amin.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Toll free in the U.S. and Canada, 877-929-9673. Welcome to Away with Words.
Oh, hi. This is Justin calling from Fort Worth, Texas. How are you?
All right. Well, what's on your mind?
I was working one day with my buddy, and we were kind of running a little late, and he says, oh, Justin, we got to hurry up. We don't want to get whistlebit. And, I can understand from the context he didn't want to work late, but I never heard that before. So I look it up in the dictionary, and that's what it says. Whistlebit is to work after quitting time. But I wanted to know, why whistlebit? What does that mean? And when I Google around, all I can find is that it's a bit that goes in the horse of the mouth, and it's got little holes in the piece that goes in the mouth that looks like a tin whistle. Apparently it keeps them from sucking in air, and they can't burp, and that's a problem. But I couldn't figure out why you would say whistlebit. Are we going to end up with bits in our mouths if we work late after 5?
No, that's a red herring. It's got nothing to do with horses or bits in mouths at all. Actually has to do with another bit of Southern slang. Have you ever heard somebody unlucky being said to be snake bit? Boy, that boy's just snake bit. He can't win for losing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so this whistle bit, WHISTLE, one word, and then the second word bit, BIT, is like being snake bit, except by the quitting whistle at your job, or the quitting siren, or the quitting alarm, or whatever. And so the idea here is that you're going to get unlucky enough to have that shift signal go off while you still need to be employed, or while you still are at your task.
I see. Okay. So So the bit here isn't what goes in a horse's mouth.
No,
it's like
not at all.
To be bitten.
Yeah.
To be like injured or hurt.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Well, not literally, but it means to be
Right.
to be figuratively stung or figuratively bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You got bit by the whistle.
And it's particularly common in blue-collar jobs. Like I find it in HVAC journals or steam and engineering journals and newspapers. And we got a really nice glossary or dictionary a few years ago by a fellow named Ray Journey. His class that he took, a technical course that he took, they put this construction dictionary together, and they have the term in there, and they define it as still at work in the field when the whistle blows, rather than at the gang box with tools secured, and most importantly, ready to go home.
That's right. You got to have your gear put up, ready to go.
So you're whistle bit if you still got all your tools out when it's time to go home.
That's right. Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, man. Okay, I had the wrong. So it's like Fred Flintstone. He's working in the quarry and the whistle goes off.
That's exactly right.
Yabba dabba doos his way out of there.
Yep.
Oh,
that's
man,
great.
Okay, well, that's good. I'll have to tell my buddy. He'll really like that. But you say it's mostly blue collar, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but again, the connection to snake bit, which is the Southern slang, which means unlucky, unfortunate, always having something you didn't expect happen to you when you need things to go well. You got snake bit.
Oh, yeah. We've had those days, too. We get snake bit sometimes, too.
Yeah. You order a part, it arrives, it doesn't fit, you just got snake bit.
Yep. Things just aren't going your way some days, yeah. And then you end up getting whistle bit. That's how that works.
That's right.
That's it.
Justin, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Be safe out there.
I really enjoyed this.
All right. Take care now.
Right. Thanks, Justin.
All right. Y'all too. Yes, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Toll free in the U.S. and Canada, 877-929-9673.
It's the Bouncy House for Language. Stay tuned. You're listening to Away with Words, the show about language and how we use it. I'm Grant Barrett.
And I'm Martha Barnett. We recently got an email from Beverly in Ontario, Canada, who was looking for a word for that moment when you're dictating a message and your dictation program misunderstands you. She writes, I recently dictated the word onerous, and my voice to text spelled owner us. And so she had to go back to all the people on her email thread and explain that this was an error. And the word that she came up for this kind of mistake was mico, like typo.
Oh, so mic short for microphone.
Yeah.
Following on a typo is a role model. Yeah, I like it. I like it. But that can't be the only lexical gap we've gotten, because I know we get them all the time.
Well, I was going to say, don't we get at least one a
Daily.
day? More than that, yeah.
Phone, email, text messages, you name it. They come in because people recognize these holes in the language and they want a neat, pat, set word. They want this kind of tidy little package all wrapped up in a single word.
Exactly. And I mean, you know it when you hear it. You know, it's that little moment of satisfaction. Like, I don't know, like when you fill in the last square of a crossword puzzle, or you're doing Wordle and all the letters flip over and turn green. It's just that satisfying click that I think, you know, makes life a little bit more manageable. I mean, here's another one. Tristan Seal from Saxe, Texas wrote us to say that she's a mother of 5, and she and her friends were searching for a word for the feeling you have when your child is doing something great, like going to kindergarten, so you're happy that they're healthy and they're ready for kindergarten, but at the same time you're sad because they're leaving behind a stage of life. And, you know, for her, she says it feels more than bittersweet, and she thinks that there should be something that applies specifically to parents or mentors. And she and her friends decided on mom happy/sads. But I just wonder if there's another word for that.
So happy/sads, mom yeah, but what about dad? But parental happy/sads.
Yeah, I think there should be a compact word for that feeling.
Martha, because we get all these lexical gaps from all of our listeners, we need to do something about them.
Yeah, we would love to hear what lexical gaps you've observed, or maybe what lexical gaps you've figured out that you can fill. Share those with us.
877-929-9673 is a toll-free number 24 hours a day for calls and texts from Canada and the United States. Or, of course, you can always email us words@waywardradio.org. Hello, you have a way with words.
Hi, this is Kelly from beautiful Butte, America.
Beautiful Butte where?
Butte, America. Butte, Montana, really.
Butte, America. Is that what they say in Butte, Montana?
Yeah, so it's a nickname for Butte.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Never heard that.
No, me neither. What's on your mind, though? What's your languagey thing?
Okay, yeah. So when I was a kid a long time ago in Minnesota, my grandma would say, make it a nice day tomorrow, when we would be finishing a meal and there was just a little bit of food left. We took that to mean to eat up all the food. I never heard it anywhere else except in my immediate family. And then recently a childhood friend said a similar phrase. It was make it a clear day tomorrow. And it was in the same exact context. So I guess I'm just wondering, where does that come from? What does it mean? And how does finishing food affect the next day?
So that was your parents' motivational technique then and did it work?
Yeah, I guess it did. I mean, we would clean it all up, but there was only, it'd only be a bite or two of everything. But yeah, I would say yes, we would try to finish it up.
Yeah. I remember when I was growing up, my mom would always say, you want to be a member of the Clean Plate Club? And
yeah,
I didn't know what
I've heard
was.
That too.
Oh, have you? Yeah. Yeah. It just sounded like a club I wanted to be a part of.
Oh, not me. It sounded like a bunch of snobby people I didn't want to have anything to do with. I'm like, ugh, hall monitors. No, thanks.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I would have joined it. But in any case, yeah, there are lots of different versions of this in English, like clean your plate and it'll be a nice day tomorrow, or clean your plate or we won't have a clear day tomorrow, or if you don't eat all your dinner, the sun won't shine tomorrow. And apparently this goes back to a German phrase that means the same thing, basically. Eat your plate clean and then tomorrow you'll have good weather. But there's kind of a mistranslation there, isn't there, Grant?
Yeah, so in English it dates to about the 1880s, but it's centuries older in German. And there's a dialect difference that caused some confusion here. In one dialect, when you say the versions of this proverb, you're saying, if you clear all the food, you'll get more good food tomorrow. And it's nothing about the weather. But that word for more good food or some variation on that sounds exactly like the word for weather. So in other dialects of German, it was misunderstood. And the expression that became more established was the version about the weather. It's very interesting. So it wasn't originally about weather at all. It moved from the practical advice about eating all your food so you get more good food tomorrow to something a little more superstitious, that eating all your food means magically there'll be good weather tomorrow. And even in the United States, the original saying lurks behind the scenes, partly because we have this Germanic history here. And there's a version of this in Pennsylvania Dutch, by the way, Pennsylvania German. But that version behind the scene is that there are variations in English about cleaning all the serving dishes or platters or everything off the table, not the individual plate. So it's literally about eating everything on the table in the original German use, not that a kid should behave. It's like you're telling adults this as well. You're telling everyone present to eat everything on the table.
Right, and that's how it was used in my family. It was for everybody.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the kids.
And but again, it's not about weather. It was about that's the only way that you're ensured that this chef or the cook will go to all this trouble tomorrow to provide food for you again. Because if you're insulting them by not eating all the food today, then why would they bother tomorrow?
This weather connection is interesting, though, because there are other little bits of folklore, like from Kentucky, where if you lick your plate at breakfast, there will be rain before supper.
Oh,
so people have conflated the two. Or if all the dishes are emptied at a meal, it's going to rain. That's an idea there. But what interests me too is that it's it's spoken in terms that a kid can understand. There's a cause and effect there.
Oh my goodness. So okay, so I never really really took it as a motivation. It was more, it's just going to make it a nice day tomorrow for whatever reason. And, I guess part of me, or, maybe when I was younger, I didn't really think about the weather. But as I got older, I thought, well, okay, if maybe it is about the weather, but how does it affect the weather? I think your explanations have been fabulous.
Oh, outstanding.
Well,
thank you for bringing this to us. It's always fun. We always like digging into folklore, even though it's not exactly linguistic. But it's certainly fun for us, and we appreciate your time today.
All right. You have a nicer, clear day tomorrow or today.
Will do.
Well, that means we get to eat everything right on our plate. Excellent.
That's right.
Down to the parsley.
Right. I will make sure to... Thank
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Call and leave us a voicemail, 877-929-9673. And there are lots of other ways to reach us. Just go to waywardradio.org. Hello, you have a way with words.
Hey, this is Brian from Lafayette, Indiana.
Hey, Brian, we're glad to have you. What's up?
So I work in the restaurant industry, and something that one of my employees noticed is that we abbreviate chicken a lot with CHX, and that seemed kind of weird that it's not like CHK or CHN.
CHX. So like on an order form from your suppliers, that's how they'll make it short.
Yep, or like even just in our own system, and I've seen it in a lot of different food service places.
And when you think about it, do you think of it as chicks or CHX, or do you pronounce it in your head?
I usually just think of it as chicken in my head. It would make more sense if it was like plural, but it's not.
Yeah, that's a little thing that we'll bring up here in a second about that X. All right, this is actually a really interesting question, and I'm so happy that you're here with this because this one abbreviation in your restaurant, CHX, as an abbreviation for chicken, goes back thousands of years. Well, maybe not thousands, but a long time. There's several different ways that X got there. One of them is X, as you know, has been a placeholder in math like geometry and other things for a long time. So Descartes did it, turned X, Y, and Z into these characters to use as variables or placeholder letters when the number was unknown. And so that's one of the ways that X has stood in for a thing, a larger thing. Another one, of course, is medicine. We use RX to refer to medicine or for prescription. And that X actually is originally an X. It was the leg of the R had a line through it because this is what old scribes would do, ancient scribes would do. That when they abbreviated a word, they would put a line through like the last tail or last leg of the characters that they did put on the page. And that was one of the more common ones. So it actually stands for recipe. It means to take. It's related to our word receive. So that's another place we got the X. But then there's a third one. And the third one, it's not altogether clear if it comes from the medical use or the geometry use, but this is in technical fields like broadcasting and in the old days in telegraphs where they would use X to make words short because obviously if you're using a Morse code device to send your messages, you want to do as little hammering on the clicker as possible, right? So you're going to make as many words short as you can. And X became the way to do that. So besides RX for prescriptions or for medicine, you will sometimes see in the medical world ABX for antibiotics, BX for biopsy. I have a whole list of these. FX for fracture, SX for symptoms, PX for problems. And then HX for history, as in the patient's medical history. But there are a couple that overlap with the technical field. For example, TX can mean treatment in medicine, but transmit in radio or in telegraph. DX can mean diagnosis in medicine, but it means distance in broadcasting. So there's quite a few of these. WX is a really common one. You probably maybe have seen that even. Sometimes you'll even see that in the newspaper when they kind of relay these short form forecasts, WX for weather.
Oh, I've never seen that. I've definitely seen DX on, like stereos. And
there we go. Yeah, exactly. DX for stereos. Like, well, there'll be a little switch you can flip to change the way that it receives and the power that it gives to the amplifier. So that's what we know. So make it go back to Descartes and using X as a placeholder letter for an unknown number or known quantity, but it might also come from the X used by Latin scribes, actually, which wasn't an X. It was just a line through a leg that turned into an X.
Just sounds like it's kind of a common way to shorten words, because I've
Yeah.
definitely seen some of the ones that you've mentioned, obviously, like RX and stuff like that.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. But that huge history to lead to your chicken in your computer system at the restaurant. I love the idea that Descartes might have had a hand in CHX in your ticketing system.
Brian, I'm so glad that you brought your job experience and this really interesting question. I had no idea.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, well, fire up the grill. We'll be right over. Thank you so much for your call.
All right. Sounds good.
All right,
Take
bye-bye.
care.
Take care.
What words and phrases have you run into on your job? We'd love to hear about them. 877-929-9673 or send an email to words@waywardradio.org.
Hello, you have a way with words.
Hi, this is Megan. I am calling from Savannah, Georgia.
Hi, Megan. Welcome to the program.
Thanks. I wanted to ask you guys about a weird phrase that I heard growing up, and I had the chance to grill my parents about it when they were visiting recently. Down cellar behind the axe.
Down cellar behind the axe. So who said this, Dad?
Mostly Dad when I was little, and it never made any sense to me.
What would you be doing when he said it?
I can't remember. I was pretty little.
Uh-huh.
I just remember we did have a weird basement that had, like stone. It was a stone foundation and a dirt floor, and so the whole image was very scary.
Yeah, I imagine.
Somebody down there with an axe, but I don't know. I don't really remember what I thought it meant.
Was your dad? Martha knows what I'm about to ask. Was your dad from New England?
So he was not, but his dad and granddad were very much old New England. So yeah, I'm certain that that's where he picked it up.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because down cellar is an expression that you hear mostly in New England and the Canadian Maritimes. Down cellar meaning down in the cellar. It's what's sometimes called a bare noun or a bare locative, where you leave out the words between the adverb and the noun, like on campus or in church or in studio. There are different versions of this, like down cellar behind the fish barrels or down cellar behind the fish bowl or down cellar in a teacup. I've also read down cellar behind the axe and the teacup.
Yeah, it's behind the furnace, cider barrel, coal bin, pig's barrel, potato barrel, piano, nail kegs. And then there's my favorite version, down cellar tying the dog loose.
Yeah. Like you might ask, somebody comes over to your house and you say to the wife, "Where's your husband?" And she just says, "Oh, he's down cellar tying the dog loose." It's just like.
She doesn't know.
So that's what my dad remembers, and my mom too, as they grew older, that it sort of morphed into a lightly dismissive, not mean, but sort of dismissive, you sort of, who knows with them.
Right.
But he does remember his grandparent talking about it, meaning that mom was doing drudge work.
Oh, interesting.
Huh. Interesting, yeah.
That was a shorthand for saying, like, well, she's doing the chores.
And down cellar itself in the mid-1800s, because it's quite old to say down cellar instead of down in the cellar, often was about hiding things, bootlegging, for example. And one of my favorite uses that I found was from 1875. And it says, "It turns out to be a solemn fact that a Baltimore woman gave birth to 4 children a few weeks ago, and her husband has been hiding down cellar ever since." And so it's very typical, though, of the early uses where it really was about this distant, dirty place that you didn't usually go, where something might be stowed away and not be seen.
All right, and 1875 is the earliest you
No,
found?
1850s.
Oh, no.
1850s,
early,
yeah.
Yeah, early 1800s.
Oh.
And if you really want to get a good dose of this expression and its variants, the book Prince Edward Island Sayings, PEI Sayings, is fantastic and has a really good entry on this.
Okay, great.
And also Stephen King, the writer, uses variations on this because he's a Mainer. He's from New England, so it's part of his stock phrases.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, share that with your family and see what they say.
I sure will. I
All right.
definitely
Well,
will.
thanks so much for calling.
Thank you. Take care, Megan.
You too. Bye-bye.
You can find all of our past episodes and 1 zillion ways to reach us on our website at waywardradio.org.
Away with Words senior producer is Stephanie Levine. Tim Felton is our engineer and editor, and John Chinesky is our quizmaster.
Go to waywardradio.org for all of our past episodes, podcast links, and ways to reach us.
If you have a language thought or question, the toll-free line is always open in the U.S. and Canada, 1-877-929-9673.
Away with Words is an independent nonprofit production of Wayward Inc.
It's supported by listeners and organizations who are changing the way the world talks about language.
Although we're not a part of NPR, we thank NPR stations throughout the United States that carry the show.
And special thanks to our nonprofit's volunteer board, Michael Breslauer, Josh Eccles, Claire Grotting, Meryl Perlman, Bruce Rogo, Rick Seidenworm, and Betty Willis.
Thanks for listening. I'm Grant Barrett.
And I'm Martha Barnett. Until next time, goodbye.
So long.